You may have heard of this game depending on what YouTubers you watch, and if you have, then you know that they pretty much suck the game stick. Let me make a correction, because when I said that they suck the game stick, that may have been a little harsh and overdoing it. What I meant when I said that was that these are people that only have good things to say about the game. They haven't addressed this game as critically as most regular people would, except for Big Fry, but he's a paid Battlefield shill, so his opinion doesn't matter.
EA reached out again to celebrate their free-to-play weekend happening from the dates that you guys can see on screen here. So shout out to EA for another sponsored video.
Alright, I'm done with this bit, back to the video. And they only have nice things to say about it. If you haven't heard about this game, then I wouldn't worry about it, you're not really missing much. The game in question is called Military Conflict Vietnam, and as the name suggests, this is a Vietnam-themed shooter. It runs off of the CSGO build of the Source engine, and it aims to capture that old school FPS feeling. At least that's what I've been told by like every YouTuber that's ever talked about this game. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I've been playing this game non-stop for like, I'd say, half an hour, and it's just been nothing but capture the flag, free for all, and TDM, and all that other basic shit you see in COD. One thing this game does kind of differently is have the Vietnam setting, which I really like. Not many other games do this besides that one Far Cry DLC nobody played, or the Battlefield Bad Company DLC no one played, and like a shit ton of other games I've never heard of. Honestly, I'm starting to think I'm the only human that's actually interested in that setting, because when you play Vietnam, there's no single player, only a multiplayer, and the only way to get into a match is to find a server that has at least one human. Sometimes 4 if you're really lucky, but in all cases, almost all cases, you're gonna see like one person playing it, and it's usually a developer or a special ed kid that got a Steam card for his birthday and bought this game by accident. The only thing this game does differently from other games is 1, Steam Workshop support, and 2, you can see your legs when you look down, which in my eyes is always a plus. Also, some of the footage you see is going to look very choppy because the game has no VSync option, meaning that OBS couldn't record the footage properly and I had to use an alternative method to record the rest of the footage. If there is a VSync option, I couldn't fucking find it. If any developers are watching this, please God, add a search function to your settings. I can't find anything. Like, look at this. I can't read all this. I'm getting a headache just looking at it. You know what hurts my head less? The gameplay. So, let's get into that. I did say it hurt my head less because I was the one playing it. As mentioned previously, there is no VSync option as far as I'm aware, so some of the recordings will look very choppy. For the most part, I did use Nvidia's built-in screen recording feature to record the footage, but the rest was done with OBS because I took it from a live stream I did a few nights ago. So yeah, anyway, I know the footage looks like shit. Let's move on. In terms of gameplay, it's very basic and there's not much that's new here. If you've ever played a shooter within the last 5 years, then there's not really much different here other than the setting, which I feel is heavily underutilized, but I'll get to that later. First, let's start the game. As of recording, you can only play this game in either multiplayer, which good luck, or in a bot match. For some reason, you can't run bot matches on custom maps, which is like 90% of the fun. So if you want to play a map that you found on the Steam Workshop, then maybe you could gaslight or blackmail your friends into playing this with you, assuming that you have friends. But for now, I suggest picking a god and praying that other people are online. So now that we know how to start the game, what's it like? Before we move on, I really need to talk about the training section. I can't exactly call this part the tutorial because of how weirdly it's structured. There's a gun range that's entirely optional, and an obstacle course that kinda just starts and doesn't really end. Right now, the game itself doesn't have any unique movement tech, so the only thing you're going to be learning is that the W key makes you go forward. If you didn't know that, then you're either too young to be watching this channel, or you're probably an actual Vietnam veteran. The map itself is kinda weird because it's populated by NPCs that don't have detailed eyes, all of which have what I assume to be placeholder names like Sergeant Marlboro. There's also this guy who totally doesn't look like anyone in particular, but as far as the tutorial goes, that's really about it. Well, right now you only have 7 game modes to choose from, technically 6. You have Capture the Flag, Conquest, Deathmatch, Demolition, Gun Game Deathmatch, and Team Deathmatch. Capture the Flag is self-explanatory. I'm sure you played a video game before. Conquest is basically that one game mode in Battlefield that everyone plays. Deathmatch is basically free-for-all. Demolition is basically search and destroy. Everyone knows what gun game is. Gun game deathmatch is the same thing but free for all. And last but not least, TDM. I'm not sure if I need to bring this up, but the game also lets you customize your characters and your weapons. Just like Battlefield, all the weapons and characters are divided into classes. Character customization is extremely bare bones, but I feel like they'll add more in the future. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at the weapon. Holy shit, that's a lot of guns. Or at least, that's what I thought at first. You see, most of the guns on screen are variations of the same thing, and unless you're Ian from Forgotten Weapons, I highly doubt you're going to be able to look at each and every military designation and be able to pick apart which gun is different. Like I said earlier, a lot of these are just the same gun but with different furniture. Honestly, it would be way easier if they streamlined it, give the player like 1 or 2 variants and let them customize the shit out of it. Like, holy shit, could you imagine a dyslexic person playing this game? Right now, there's only 8 maps to choose from. Right now, my favorite map is the NLF Outpost, just because of the treehouse and the really neat rain effect. The other maps are kinda meh. Thankfully, there's Steam Workshop support, so if you don't like the maps, then you can play one that you do like. Although bear in mind that some maps can be straight up broken. I've been told that the fix for this is enabling procedural skies, but this actually doesn't do anything. There are other mods on the workshop that replace weapon models and various sound effects, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Mainly because of the very small community size. And speaking of the community, I think now's a great time to bring up Dust Fate, the developers of the game. I'm not okay, it's not alright. After doing extensive research, opening 5 tabs on Google, I found that they have a website that leaves a little to be desired. They have a Twitter, which is to be expected since that's where most people are. They have an Instagram account, which is good for me because I can't use Twitter. They have a YouTube channel with only 1 video, that being the trailer for the game. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that more than half of the dev team are Russian. Reason number 1, they have an account on VK. If you don't know what VK is, it's basically the Russian equivalent of Facebook. And yeah, it's just as bad. It's funded by the Russian government, so you know there's just as much spying as actual Facebook. And in case you're wondering, yeah, they do have an actual Facebook page. Also, reason number 2 is because they have Russian channels in their Discord server. The server itself is probably what's confusing me the most about them. Shortly after joining the server, I realized that someone gave me an active player role. Clearly one of the higher ups is paying attention to my Steam activity. They also have a contributor role, which, wait, holy shit, is that Anomaly?
Like the Jewish doctor, Shalom, and then...
Anyway, I would imagine a contributor is someone who supports the game in some way, but that doesn't make sense because you can't really support the devs through normal means. As far as I can tell, the best you can do is buy the game, so whatever the hell contributor means is going to remain a mystery for now. By the way, sorry if I sound weird, I sprayed a shit ton of bug poison and now I'm super congested. Anyway, if the Steam page is to be believed, then the devs seem pretty ambitious. Like, goddamn, for an early access indie game, these are a lot of big promises, like campaign co-op, zombies, more weapons, a new game mode, more maps, a DLC based off of the Rhodesian Bush War. They're also saying that if you buy the game now, you can get all this in a free update rather than pay for it as a DLC. By the way, I realized how all that just sounded. No, I am not sponsored by these people. The only interaction I've had with Team Dust Fate is when I accidentally played with someone named Waki who claimed to be the lead dev. Actually, hang on, I think I knew a guy named Waki. He was autistic and he constantly tried to gaslight me into thinking that I agreed to play a way out with him. Anyway, that's something totally different. Right now, the game has a very small player base, so having a run-in with the devs playing their own game isn't that out of the question. Like I talked about earlier, the game does have mod support, which is kind of future-proofing it, but because the game only has like 1 trailer and like 7 Instagram posts, the game's player base just isn't growing that much because not many people know about it. If there was more advertising that didn't just come from YouTubers, then I think the game would be way bigger than it is now. But what do you guys think? Is there something about the game I should have touched on? Did I get something wrong? If so, let me know in the comment section down below. A like is always appreciated, subscribe if you want more, and as always, I fucking love you people. Have a great Valentine's Day.
Back in Vietnam, got our AK strafing from side to side, side to side. Welcome to Vietnam, we got lots of motherfucking rice. Hands up, America try to steal our rice. Crap, you can have my wife, but not my no. Oh no, it's Viet Cong, let's go back into the bush and hide. hide, cause lady tonight.